That's Friday, March 20th at The Mill, Granite City's premier concert and event venue. Brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Support local music and join us for a great party. Tickets and info now at themill.events.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A man armed with a rifle rammed a vehicle into the nation's largest Reform synagogue. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard tells reporters the armed suspect who rammed into Temple Israel in West Bloomfield, Michigan, is dead.
A car came to the facility, breached the facility by driving into it, was engaged by security. We believe there is one individual deceased in the vehicle. It's been complicated because there was some fire, to say the least, with that vehicle.
Bouchard says a security officer was injured, but no one else in the school was hurt. There's been a first statement by Iran's new supreme leader.
In his first statement since he became supreme leader, Ayatollah Mujtaba Khamenei said Iran should use the threat of closing the Strait of Hormuz and keep attacking Gulf neighbors. An anchor on Iranian state TV read the statement by the new supreme leader, who did not appear on camera himself. Israeli intelligence assessments suggest he may have been wounded in the February 28th Israeli strike that killed his father, the 86-year-old late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. I'm Karen Shamas.
Old Dominion University police say a gunman and one victim are dead, and two other victims are hurt after a shooting at the school on Thursday morning. It wasn't immediately clear how the shooter died. Old Dominion University Police Chief Garrett said officers responded after it was reported that people were being shot in a classroom in the business school building. The shooting is being described as an act of terrorism. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 739 points. The Nasdaq dropped 404. The S&P lower by 103. More at townhall.com.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated with rare coin collecting. But owning the wrong coins that only make dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio. AmFed Coin and Bullion specializes in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and not what they want to sell you. You'll never experience scare tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales from owner Nick Grovich and his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your portfolio, show you how your coins have performed, and take the time to educate you on the ugly industry practices so that you can make an informed decision. Smart people can make very bad investments when they're under pressure and lack the facts. Call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Strong winds tonight. We stay dry, but it gets windy late tonight and overnight. Some gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour, strongest gusts to the north. And then Friday afternoon, partly cloudy and a high of 60, breezy, but the wind gusts come down a bit. Saturday, mostly cloudy and a high of 64. Nice day. Sunday, not so nice. A chance of storms. Some of those could be strong, especially south of St. Louis. Very windy and a high of 67, but temperatures will crash Sunday night and a Monday as rain changes into snow. Most of that melting on the pavement, but it's not out of the question. There's some minor accumulation into Monday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. he called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. Jonestown, where more than 900 committed mass suicide.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stiefel. Contact your Stiefel financial advisor at stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
We're coming on the air with breaking news out of Michigan. Police are providing an update on an attack at a synagogue, Temple Israel, in West Bloomfield, a suburb of Detroit.
A car came to the facility, breached the facility by driving into it, was engaged by security. We believe there is one individual deceased in the vehicle. It's been complicated because there was some fire, to say the least, with that vehicle. We believe that individual is deceased. No kids, this is the important thing, no kids or no staff is injured whatsoever. Okay? So we have no victims other than one of the lead security people was hit by the car and was taken to the hospital for treatment.
Well, is this yet another sleeper cell that's been activated? Is this yet another example of this virulent anti-Semitism we've seen sweeping across America and the globe? Time will tell on that as the facts continue to come out. But what we do know is what you heard there. There has been yet another act of violence involving the Jewish American community. Suspect dead after ramming vehicle into Michigan synagogue. Active shooting incident originally. Now the suspect is now deceased. Luckily, thankfully, God bless America, all preschool children and staff safely evacuated from the synagogue. All of this, Chris Arps, as Democrats happily continue to keep the Department of Homeland Security, at least some aspects of it, completely and totally shut down.
Yeah, hopefully this unfortunate incident will compel the Democrats to stop holding the Department of Homeland Security hostage and fund it. The House has already passed their bill. It's being hung up, of course, by the Senate Democrats. You know, one thing that we have to keep in mind here is that Bloomfield, New Bloomfield, I think that's what it is, the suburb of Detroit, is very close to Dearborn, Michigan. And Dearborn, Michigan, of course, has a very high Arab population, a lot of anti-Semitism there in Bloomfield. And it just makes you wonder, is this an Iranian sleeper cell that contributed to this attack? Or was it just a resident close to Dearborn, where there's a lot of anti-Semitism, where there are a lot of Arab Americans live? Maybe they were motivated to perpetrate this attack on this synagogue. But it's a very sad, sad situation. And, of course, as the days and weeks continue with the war, and I'm sure with this particular incident, Tim, the Democrats will focus on gun control and the gun instead of this anti-Semitic attack.
Instead of the sleeper cells and the jihad and the fact that we have another anti-Semitic attack, as you referred to. I've been wanting to ask you this question for the last 24 hours or so, in light of the fact that parts of DHS continue to remain shut down because of the Democrats. Did you fly to the Big D or did you drive?
We drove to Dallas.
Okay.
My wife and I we flew to Dallas. My wife and I were very concerned because a lot of THS agents around the country have been calling in sick. Particularly scary for us was Houston. Houston has had a major call-in of THS agents, and we were hoping that it didn't spread to Dallas and that we would be hung up. But no, we had no trouble getting in and out of the airport.
St. Louis and DFW both okay?
Yeah,
in your
DFW.
Experience?
Yeah,
okay.
no trouble whatsoever.
I'm asking for a personal reason.
Yeah.
My wife and daughter are flying on Sunday out of St. Louis, so I'm hoping they don't have any problems. They're going to get to the airport really early.
Yeah.
It's a Sunday morning. Hopefully they'll be okay. But Chris, this is what is shut down. I did a little research last night just to make sure that my memory was correct. TSA is technically, quote, shut down, but they're essential employees, so they have to go to work and just not get paid. Secret Service, oh, that's a wonderful thing to have shut down, like never, right? FEMA, as we enter tornado season, is shut down, and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, is shut down. My cousin Sarah actually works for an element of them. She was asking me the other night, she goes, are you giving the Democrats hell on the radio? And I said, all week we are. She said, thank you very much. You know who's not shut down? ICE.
Yeah.
ICE is not shut down. And Democrats are finally being asked that by even places like CNN. CNN reporters are asking the Democrats they're interviewing. Now, you do realize ICE is not shut down. Oh, yeah, we know that, but we just want to hold that hostage. And I talked to somebody the other day who's not overtly political, and I said, you realize what's going on here, right? The Democrats have the government shut down. They said, well, why? I said, well, they're mad because they weren't able to do anything about the ICE funding. And they said, well, that's not right. They shouldn't be leveraging this against the other. And I said, I'm glad to hear you say that because you're kind of like Jane American to me.
And there's another agency on that list that is shut down, but they are essential workers, and that is the Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard.
And it's kind of worrisome that the Coast Guard those folks are not getting paid. We know that, someone in a boat or somehow could slip into this country through our waterways. The good folks at the Coast Guard are not getting paid, and they are part of the Department of Homeland Security as well. So I think this latest attack in Michigan is going to put a lot of pressure on the Democrats to do something about DHS and get it open and get it fully funded.
Yeah, Chris, there are some Democrat congressmen and women already feeling a little bit of rub, a little bit of pain. I played a clip. Let's see, we were together on Tuesday. I think I played a clip on Monday when you were traveling. There's a Democratic congresswoman who was interviewed about this issue, and she made some admissions. She said, we're kind of looking at ways to maybe carve out TSA because we know this is becoming a problem. And she was kind of being very hesitant, but she said those words. And then she said, and yes, we're having some trouble getting back and forth to D.C. So, Chris, the minute that a congressman or senator misses a couple flights or is delayed 5 or 6 hours, or who has a TSA agent get up in their face, in conjunction with these now 3 acts of terror, right? 3 acts of terror in the last 10 days. That is going to quickly bring this to a close. It's a real shame, though, that the Democrats are holding the American people hostage in the meantime.
Yeah, we're going to have a very quick resolution to this when more and more TSA agents start calling in sick. Also, too, a story that I read that a lot of TSA agents are just sick of all of these government shutdowns and wondering if they're going to get paid. 300 have quit, just outright said, I'm done with this. I'm going to find another line of work. And, it takes, I think I saw 4 to 6 weeks or so in order to train a TS agent. So with all these folks quitting, with these people demoralized for not getting paid, it's going to take agents time to get up to snuff in order to do this job. It's going to put a real headache, real strain on our traveling system. And, it's getting warmer. Spring break is coming up soon. The college kids are going to be traveling to Florida. People are going to be starting vacations. People are not going to be happy when they have to show up to the airport 3 and 4 hours before their flight just to make sure they can get on their flight on time.
Indeed. And in a possibly related story, Chris, there was a suspicious package discovered today at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, commonly referred to as DCA. Report here states that operations at Ronald Reagan began returning to normal Thursday after officials cleared, we're glad they cleared it, a suspicious item that prompted a complete evacuation earlier in the morning. So there you go. There's 4 incidences in the last 10 days. We had Austin, Texas. We had this situation right now in Michigan. We had the attempted bombing that could have created lots of catastrophes in New York. And now we have a suspicious package that caused the entire Ronald Reagan, very busy DCA airport, to be cleared out this morning. 4 incidences in 10 days.
And then I saw a report, too, while I was traveling that the United States government has seen some cables that were sent out of Iran where they were suggesting possibly opening or motivating some sleeper cells here in the United States to do some corrupt to do some of their actions. You know, some of these things may not be Iranian-sponsored or sleeper cells, but, you know, we have a lot of disturbed people out there, a lot of people that hate America, a lot of people that hate Jewish people, that they may take that as an indication for them to try to do some type of terrorist act, especially with the country on high alert like it is.
And the progressive left in the U.S. seems to be doing nothing other than egging all of them on. Guess what? Thank God it's Thursday. We've got a national security and international relations geopolitical analyst with us this afternoon, our own Steve Bucci. We will ask him whether our concerns are well-founded and what we should be doing about them here in the U.S. We'll also talk to Steve, of course, about everything going on and all the late-breaking news, which seems to change by the minute in Iran. We'll be asking Steve questions like, what does it take to sink 16 mine-laying ships in the Strait of Hormuz? How can the strait be reopened? Steve will be joining us at 4:25.
And also some good news on the war front, if you can call this good news. Of course, the media has been fostering this narrative that we're spending all this money on munitions, the president and the administration all over the map on the reason for going to war. This is an unpopular war to the American people, where the Washington Post has a poll out that shows that there's less opposition to military actions when they first began. Most people, of course, says in this poll they want the strikes to stop, but I think people are beginning to see the rationale for this war, that Iran has actually been at war with us for 47 years. They are shooting missiles at not only Israel, but at their Gulf neighbors as well. And I think Americans are realizing that if we're going to get rid of this threat, this menace to world order, that now is the best time to do that, because they're at their weakest point. And, you know, Americans are all about freedom. You know, we've been crying for the Ukrainian people to be free, for them to determine their own self-determination. I think Americans are starting to realize, too, that Iranians should have that right, too. And maybe that's another reason why there's more support for this war now.
If only most of the corporate media shared the concern of freeing Palestine as much as freeing Iran as much as freeing Palestine. They don't seem to be on the same page there.
Ukraine.
We'll ask all of and Ukraine. We'll ask Steve Bucci about all that and more coming up in just about 8 minutes or so. So don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear that segment. And the next segment, of course, Chris's Corner.
Yeah, we had a little technical difficulties on Tuesday, of course. My Chris's Corner was the Democrats' war narrative. Probably most of you couldn't understand it or hear it, so I'm going to give that Chris's Corner, the Democrats' war narrative, at 4:45. So stay tuned for that.
Democrats' war narrative, 4:45. Speaker's stump speech today. Big goings on up at our state capitol. Going to have another reminder of how money moves around the country and why it does so, in conjunction with a huge bill, one of Governor Kehoe's top priorities, making it firmly out of the Missouri House today and over to the Senate just in time for the spring break recess, which begins officially this afternoon. That'll be at 5:07. And one of our favorite supporters of all time, Dr. Allan Link of the Dental Link, joining us at 5:25.
Spent a little time with Dr. Allan Link today, approximately about 5.5 hours. Had a final thing with a dental procedure that I've been done, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about many dental implants. Dr. Link is the foremost kind of expert on that here in the St. Louis region. Many dental implants. I have them, and you hear me every other day talk about how they're less invasive, less painful. And so Dr. Link, you'll hear from his own mouth how he can help you have a beautiful smile like I have now.
That is a fantastic topic indeed. In addition to this additional teaser, I've often wondered this, and I can't wait to talk to the good doc about this. What is a dental-friendly diet? What is a dental-friendly diet?
No sugar.
Well, that's part of it. That's a good one. I'm just wondering, what can we eat to help our teeth, you know? And apparently the good doctor's involved with Turning Point USA as well. So we'll talk to him about those endeavors.
We talked about that on the show. One of his patients was upset with an initiative that he started with Turning Point USA, lost a patient, and Dr. Link will give that story at 5:20.
I bet he'll pick up about 50 more, though.
I hope so.
When this story is told. Folks, we're a little different, I would argue, than a normal type of place that has advertisers. I would submit that the majority, if not the entirety, of our advertisers believe in the mission that we have here as well, to be number one for live and local, common sense, conservative talk. You know, it doesn't mean that all of our supporters share every single thing. Well, look, we've got a bazillion different opinions here, from Mike Ferguson in the morning to Larry Connors in the evening, and everybody in between. Everybody's got a different take and things. We're all over the right side of the political spectrum. But I think in generally, our advertisers are great Americans. They're patriotic. They're hardworking. Many of them are running small, independently owned family businesses that they've either begun themselves or it's become a family tradition, like the Newsteaders, a couple generations old there. And Dr. Link, with his son, is another example of that as well.
Great team of dentists. I love going there. That seems strange when you're talking about a dentist, because you think of dentists, you think drilling and pain. But I actually enjoy going to the office. And as I say in the ads, it's just a nice atmosphere, because all of Dr. Link's employees actually like working there, Tim. They're like a family. Mm-hmm. And you can pick up that vibe while you're there, which makes having a dental procedure just that much easier when, you know, all of the people like each other there, and enjoy coming to work, and it's not just a job to them.
He's a very calm, pleasant guy.
He is.
The last thing you want is a nervous dentist, right?
Exactly.
when they've got those implements in your mouth.
Exactly.
You know, he's a cool cucumber. He's a fantastic fella.
Mm-hmm.
I got a chance to talk to him a little bit at our little Christmas event we had several months ago. He's just a delightful guy, and
you know,
lucky to have him.
I know one person here, our executive producer. I bet you he knows a good dental-friendly diet. And Joy, I hope you don't mind me giving away your diet here, but when I came in today, Joy was warming up some oatmeal and raisins today before the show. So I'm sure that's a good dental-friendly diet. Oatmeal and raisins.
I bet it is.
Very healthy eating for a young man. I'm impressed by that.
I didn't chew once. I just swallowed all of it.
I told him it's good for your heart, man. Oatmeal is great for cholesterol.
Yes. Fiber and fruit.
Yeah.
Fiber and fruit,
so
indeed.
If Joy has to run out in between segments, we know why.
For sure. He's very regular, as we might say. Chris, what are we going to talk about near the end of the show?
I didn't go over this Tuesday, but Tim, Tuesday was the 150th anniversary of a device that we use every day, and I will tell you exactly what that is. You got any idea?
I'll think about that.
Joey, you got any idea what that device is?
My penny farther. Yeah, I've got that in the Outback. I've still used it.
I have a guess. I'm not going to say
All
that.
right.
I don't want to spoil it because I'm right. So
it's just a big bike, a penny farthing.
I was like, yeah, what the hell is that?
Maybe I'll guess right before you tell us.
Okay.
How's that? All right, all that and more coming up on what's a jam-packed Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Thunderdome Thursday, indeed. We're going to get right to it right after this break. Steve Bucci going to answer all the questions that we have and more about the ongoing war in Iran and national security here on the home front. He's next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Strong winds tonight. We stay dry, but it gets windy late tonight and overnight. Some gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour, strongest gusts to the north. And then Friday afternoon, partly cloudy and a high of 60, breezy, but the wind gusts come down a bit. Saturday, mostly cloudy and a high of 64. Nice day. Sunday, not so nice. A chance of storms. Some of those could be strong, especially south of St. Louis. Very windy and a high of 67, but temperatures will crash Sunday night and a Monday as rain changes into snow. Most of that melting on the pavement, but it's not out of the question. There's some minor accumulation into Monday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey everyone, it's Todd Showalter with my buddy Joey V. Be sure to join me and Joey for the Right Mind Show, where we put the fun in our dysfunctional world. Saturdays at 5, right here at 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Thanks for the snow, Steve Templeton. Well, that's Missouri in March, right? However, folks, it is March, which means spring is about to be sprung upon us. Hopefully we get through this little cold snap, and then we have happier sunny days here again, which means you may be thinking about selling your home. Many do this time of year. If you're one of those, I want you to listen closely. Got the team for you to call, the Wallners, the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway, now featuring the addition of Jamie Allman. Yeah, Jamie's working with the Wallners now. They offer flexible commission plans tailored to your family-specific needs, not some cookie-cutter, boilerplate, printed off the computer model. They've got so many approved home buyers, the Wallners do. They're going to guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you're looking for a homestead or a piece of property on either side of the river, the Wallners are licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. They can help you all across our bi-state area. Yes, they're a husband and wife team. They're a wonderful team, and they are joined now by Jamie Allman. 3 people, 3 awesome real estate agents who really know this area extremely well for the price of one. They're not fly-by-night. It's not some kind of fly-by-night operation. All 3 of these folks have deep roots in this community. They know everything there is to know about real estate, mortgage questions, and so much more. There's no obligation or no long-term commitment. Anytime you need to walk away, come back, that's no problemo. They'll let you out of the contract. You come back when you're ready to go. You can call them at 314-810-SOLD and get the process started. 314-810-SOLD. Call the Wallners today for a free listing consultation. Sell your home with this top-producing real estate team. Rodney and Jen Wallner, 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. Until I called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you out for a great night of fun and rock and roll with the Queen Tribute Somebody to Love, Friday, March 20th at the Mill in Granite City. My band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick, opens the show, followed by the ultimate Queen experience from Somebody to Love. That's Friday, March 20th at the Mill, Granite City's premier concert and event venue, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Support local music and join us for a great party. Tickets and info now at themill.events.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Santino's. It isn't just a cigar lounge. It's an experience spanning 2 levels of pure sophistication. Handcrafted cocktails, authentic Sicilian cuisine with sauces made from scratch. The state-of-the-art smoke filtration keeps the air pristine, while the separate non-smoking wine room offers a perfect alternative. Members enjoy the lowest rates with premium benefits, including the ultimate climate-controlled humidor. Santino's, just off Highway 55 at the Imperial exit, SantinoCigarCocktails.com.
This Steve Bucci update is brought to you by Hydrodynamics. For all your lawn irrigation, outdoor lighting, drainage, hardscapes, and turf management, online at hydrodynamicscorp.com. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
As mentioned, the Strait of Hormuz, the most critical crude oil passageway in the world. U.S. Central Command releasing Another new video tonight, take a look, stating U.S. forces eliminated, quote, multiple Iranian naval vessels, including 16 mine-laying ships near the Strait of Hormuz. Iran now warning it will attack any ship or tanker that tries to move through the key shipping route.
Steve Bucci, visiting fellow for Special Ops at the Heritage Foundation.
Oh, yes. What were you about to ask me? Do you expect me to talk?
And as he does every Thursday, Steve Bucci, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Steve, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's good to be back on the show.
Great. Love to have you on during these critical times. Steve, you heard that report there that 16 mine-laying vessels have been destroyed by the United States military. There was a plan that was floated around that the U.S. Navy was going to travel with these oil tankers to help them make it through safely, but that has been scrapped. Talk a little bit about that and give us a primer 101 on exactly what is a mine. What is that they are laying there in the Strait of Hormuz?
Okay, I'll start with that first. A mine in this context is a device that floats in the water, generally below the surface. In the old days, they used to either float on the surface or they tether them on a weight. Now, that Straits of Hormuz is a little deep to do that second method. So they put these devices out there, they set the depth on them, and they go down under the water, and when a ship crosses over the top of it, they detonate and do great damage to the ships. And in a very narrow passage like the Strait of Hormuz, it can be very effective in clogging up the passageway or even closing it down without any people being involved once the mines are put out there. That's why we very quickly, when it looked like this had a potential of beginning, we went out and we sunk all the boats that we had already pre-identified as having that kind of capability. A lot of the other larger ships that they had who could also have done this have already been sunk. And now, they're left with trying to sneak out there with some small boats to try and put some things out. So it appears the Iranians have shifted gears and did an attack earlier today or last night with a boat outside the Straits of Hormuz. They had a boat with explosives on it. It came up and did a suicide detonation close to the tanker and set it on fire. If I had to guess, we're going to start, if we're not going to escort them on the surface, we are probably going to have a lot of aircraft flying over the straits and the Iranian coastline, particularly some AWACS aircraft, surveillance aircraft, to spot these things and then to vector in some fighter aircraft to take them out. I don't think we're going to allow the Iranians to block the strait. The Iranians think they can do it, but I think they're talking smack again.
So, Steve, what would you give us an analysis of where we are? It's really hard. It's really hard to judge what's going on, because it seems like the media, most of the national corporate media, has been breathlessly cheerleading against this event since it started, talking about endless wars for an action that's not even 2 weeks old yet, highlighting all the negatives, not really reporting the positives. I wonder where all the free Iran flags and pins and T-shirts are, because we sure saw that for Ukraine and Palestine, but apparently not for the oppressed people of Iran. So, Steve, where are we? Where would you say we are in this operation? Has it been going as you would expect it to go? Has it been successful to this point? And what must the U.S. military do next?
Well, there's two perspectives. I'll give you the military analysis of it first. It has been wildly successful. They are way ahead of the projected timeline that they had to do what they have done already, which is to take down all of the air defense capabilities, all of their command and control capabilities, numerous physical sites for the different parts of the Iranian security apparatus that is particularly used for oppression or for offensive actions. All of that is way out there. We've sunk all of their Navy. There's essentially none of their Air Force left. And we've taken out, somewhere between 85% and 95% of their ballistic missile launchers, both mobile and static. We've also taken out their manufacturing capability for the ballistic missiles, some of it for the drones. We still have a little more to do in that area. Unbelievably successful. We've killed a ton of their leadership level folks, including the Supreme Ayatollah. It's so over the top precise. There's still debate about this school that was hit. Did we do it or did we not do it? But bottom line is, if we did it, it was an accident. It was a targeting error. Should not have happened. But, this kind of stuff happens. I remind everybody that when we fought to help Kosovo get free under the Clinton administration, we bombed the Chinese embassy in Belgrade. Sort of a major faux pas there. But again, it was a targeting error. They misread the intel. They thought it was a legitimate target and they attacked it. Same thing here. It was one of 6 buildings in an IRGC compound that had been used by the IRGC in the past. And apparently in the last, month or whatever, they changed it and made it a school. We feel terrible. America never wants to kill innocent people. We're pretty hyper about hitting the right targets and only hitting militarily appropriate targets. If we did that one, and again, I said that they're still debating that in a lot of cases, though, if you listen to the mainstream media, the Supreme Court's already ruled it was us. That's not true. So wildly successful. If you listen to the media, it's been, we had people killed. Yeah, that's true. Very, very few of them on the first night of Iran's response to our actions. Ever since then, we've had very little, very few casualties, no more deaths other than the one poor young man who apparently had some sort of physical condition that killed him, not the enemy. And the president said this was going to take 4, maybe 5 weeks. We're now almost done with week 2. So, and we're very close to being there. The new supreme leader, as far as we know, may be operating off an artificial leg right now, and maybe in the hospital. He's not been seen in person on any film. They finally got a message out of him today, and we don't know who really wrote that. So we're moving very well in the direction the president wanted to move, which was to take out their nuclear capability, or take out more of it than we took out in the 12-day war, to take out their ballistic missile capability, both the present capability and any ability to rebuild it in the immediate future. We've done that. And hopefully, if we continue taking out their leadership, they will give up on the idea of trying to pay for, train, and manage the proxy terrorist organizations that work for them in the future. That's not done yet, but we're moving in the right direction there as well. So for all the naysayers, this has been the most successful, disastrous engagement in the history of modern warfare. And, I'm not saying it's a guarantee. War's never a guarantee. But boy, if you honestly look at the evidence, there's not much to say that it's been bad or ineffective in any way, shape, or form. Sorry for the long answer, but it's not like I don't care about this subject.
We're speaking with, of course, Steve Bucci, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Steve, a few days ago, the country of Qatar told the United States that they were going to expel Hamas leaders because they failed to condemn the Iranian attacks. One, how huge would that be if that development occurs, and do you believe them?
I'll say I will believe it when I see it. I'm glad they said it. That's a step in the right direction. But I'd like to see them actually showing them the door and moving them out of their country. Which, by the way, when they do that, they're perfectly legitimate targets for Israel, because those are the people that financed and directed the October 7th terrorist massacre there on the border that started this whole cycle of violence going. Kind of a bad tactical move there by old Yahya, the former, now dead head of Hamas, who was the only guy not living in Qatar. So it's, look, this is Israel and the United States right now are trying to get rid of a threat that has been there for 46 years, and overt by their statements, not by ours, threat to the United States, threat to our ally Israel, threat to the stability of the region, and somehow all the Democrats who for years have been saying, we need to get rid of the Iranians, this is bad, somebody needs to do something. Well, finally, because it's President Trump and he's a Republican, it's suddenly a bad thing to do. It's kind of twisted logic, and it's got nothing to do with the constitutionality. That's clearly there. It has nothing to do with the fairness of it, or whether we gave warnings or didn't give warnings. We've been giving them warnings for years, except now they found out that we got a president who actually means it, and that seemed to have caught him by surprise. That's not our fault.
Steve, on the home front here, we're definitely feeling it feels like we're feeling the effects of the Middle Eastern war, because we've had several incidences over the last few weeks that, I guess people could argue whether or not they're directly tied, but they seem to be at least inspired by the goings-on in the Middle East. We have had really scary incidences occurring in Austin, in New York, today in Michigan, a suspicious package found at DCA. Steve, is it my imagination that all this is happening, or are we seeing an uptick in some concerns here on the home front?
Definitely feeling an uptick. We don't yet know if any of these acts were directed through some terrorist channels from Iran, or are these people who have been watching this and feel like, Iran are the good guys, and heck, if you listen to the mainstream press, I could understand why they might come to that conclusion, and that they have to take some action. The guy in Austin clearly had been under some mental health care already. I think he's definitely somebody who just, that pushed him over the line to take some action. The others, we need to continue the investigation to find out if we can discern their motivations are to support Iran. There's no doubt about that. And the two young men in New York clearly there to support Iran and to be anti-American and anti-Jewish. But, if we don't yet know on any of these folks if there is a tie back to Iran as far as them activating sleeper cells or that sort of thing. There's circumstantial evidence because of the timing, clearly, but no hard evidence that that's really the case. Now, the other bite we're getting in America is our gas prices, clearly, because we're messing with the gas, the oil supply, which then goes to the gasoline supply. Not directly, by the way. We don't get hardly any oil from this area, but the world oil market is all tied together. So if you push it in one place, it makes bad things happen everywhere. That was not President Trump's intent, but he did speak about it and say, yeah, there's probably going to be a short-term spike until we can get things fully functioning in the Straits of Hormuz again, get the oil out there. That's the blockages there were frankly not created by Iranian actions. They were created by Iranian threats and the analysis of the insurance industry, particularly Lloyd's of London. They said, "Oh, we're not going to, insure anybody who goes through there until we have some assurance that it's safe." The president has taken a bunch of steps now to provide insurance. We're using our air power to go after their ability to block the straits. And I think in a couple of days, probably at most, we'll see the oil flowing through there relatively safely. We already had a retraction of the really high prices from a couple of days ago. They seem to be going back up now a little, but this is not, going to be the price of oil for now and forever because of this action. Some people might want you to think that, and the Iranians want you to think that, because they want that to be used as a point of pressure against the Trump administration. I don't think they're going to be, too amenable to it, the administration. I think they realized this was going to happen. They wish it hadn't, but it was an expected response of the market to our actions, and the president's taken steps to mitigate it.
Steve, we got a couple of minutes left, but I do want to ask you this question as a former Pentagon official. There's been a story out that the Pentagon is looking to build a team of investment bankers that are specialized in private equity to invest $200 billion in defense deals. The aim is to counter China's rise. Look, I'm a capitalist like anyone else, but I'm not so sure if I want the government being involved in private equity deals. Your thoughts?
To be honest with you, I love our military. I love even the Department of War. I was in it when it was the Department of Defense, but money management is not their strong suit. Now, having a bunch of civilians that are really good at it look at it and give us some advice, that makes sense. But the government taking over that part of the government investment in defense industries, that there's a lot of potential hiccups that could occur and waste a lot of money. I think the president bringing in a bunch of those equity folks, talking to them, trying to get them all facing in the same direction and supporting the efforts of the country, as opposed to just trying to make a bunch of money, that's worth a try. But setting up some new organization that is suddenly like a commercial bank, I'm not sure that's that great an idea. I think that's a distraction. I understand why President Trump would think that way, because he's a money's guy, real estate and money. But I don't think the government, because of the restrictions we have, I'm not sure it's the right call. But that's not my area of expertise per se. But it makes me nervous because I've seen us waste a lot of money, even with the best of intentions, in the government. But I don't think we need to do it.
That's Steve Bucci, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org, on XS Bucci. Steve, thank you as always for your time. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about next Thursday.
I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
I agree. 446 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Next, I'll talk about the Democrats' war narrative. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Strong winds tonight. We stay dry, but it gets windy late tonight and overnight. Some gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour, strongest gusts to the north. And then Friday afternoon, partly cloudy and a high of 60, breezy, but the wind gusts come down a bit. Saturday, mostly cloudy and a high of 64. Nice day. Sunday, not so nice. A chance of storms. Some of those could be strong, especially south of St. Louis. Very windy and a high of 67, but temperatures will crash Sunday night and a Monday as rain changes into snow. Most of that melting on the pavement, but it's not out of the question. There's some minor accumulation into Monday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Sometimes really wild, volatile weather really messes with your plumbing. Sometimes your plumbing just has problems because, that's just what it does. Whatever the case may be, if you have a plumbing problem, I got the plumber for you. Pay attention to whether you need this right now, or trust me, there's a very good likelihood you will need a great plumber in the future. That would be Ambassador Plumbing, the official plumbers of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Huge supporters of all of us here at News Talk STL. AmbassadorPlumbing.com is where you can find them. AmbassadorPlumbing.com. Great, easy name to remember. And they were inspired by an excellent source. Comes from 2 Corinthians, being ambassador for Christ. You know where they're coming from. Ambassador Plumbing is found at AmbassadorPlumbing.com. The emergency service line, the daily service line, right there in big red numbers at the top of the page. So all you got to do is go to AmbassadorPlumbing.com. Tim Morris, the master plumber, running Ambassador Plumbing with his wonderful wife, Austina. They're such an excellent family and a great partnership running this family-owned, independently owned, locally owned plumbing company. They service the entire eastern Missouri region. They'll be happy to come to you today if you need them. They do residential and commercial work. They do small jobs, medium-sized jobs, and big jobs. They do emergency jobs, and they do jobs that maybe you're not such in a big rush for, but you want to get done, like, renovating your entire master bathroom, such and so forth. They do their work consistently extremely well. They do it quickly. They do it on time, and they're going to keep to the budget. They can handle anything that water runs to or through. In fact, that's their motto. If water runs to it or through it, they do it. They are highly rated by all the online ratings agencies and by all of their clients and customers. Check them out 24/7. They're at AmbassadorPlumbing.com. That's AmbassadorPlumbing.com.
Why has Steph's Pizza become the place to go for St. Louis-style pizza, appetizers, salads, and pastas? One taste and you'll know. Dine-in, pickup, delivery, even DoorDash. Locally owned and operated with legendary pizza and a new location in Lake St. Louis at 111 Palm Fort Trail. In St. Peters, St. Charles, and the original Stephanitas in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Steph's Pizza is proud to be part of the News Talk STL family. Check them out at Steph'sPizza.com. And remember, tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
For the first time since he replaced his father as Iran's new supreme leader, we're hearing from Mojtaba Khamenei, sort of hearing from him. His face didn't appear, his voice didn't appear on Iranian state television. And what the world did see and hear was a written statement read by a presenter on that television stream. Some headlines that come out of it. Number one, a vow to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. And number two, to avenge Iran's martyrs. Can we read anything into why he didn't actually use his voice, that we didn't see him? There have been some speculation out there that he was very wounded in the attack that killed his father.
Right, there's speculation that he's either in a coma or lost a leg.
4:52 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and more good news on the Iranian war front. But as we spoke with Steve Bucci there, if you listen to the media, war is going horrible, Tim. We're spending $11 billion so far on the war. We're running out of munitions. The war is going terrible, and that is the Democrats' war narrative. And I will expound more on that on Chris's Corner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
If you've been watching the mainstream media over the past few days, you've probably noticed the narrative they're trying to build about the conflict with Iran. According to Democrats and their media allies, the Trump administration supposedly, quote, can't settle on a reason for the war. The White House doesn't know how long the conflict will last, and America is burning through munitions, and the rising price of oil is about to tank the economy. In other words, they're trying to create panic. But when you step back and look at what's actually happening, it becomes clear this is less about national security and more about politics, specifically the upcoming midterm elections. Take the latest criticism from Democrats on Capitol Hill. After a classified briefing, Senator Richard Blumenthal complained he left dissatisfied and angry, saying he had more questions than answers about the cost of the war. The Pentagon estimates the first 2 days of fighting cost about $5.6 billion in munitions. Now, war is expensive. It always has been, but Democrats suddenly acting shocked that military operations cost money is a little rich, especially considering the trillions they were happy to spend on domestic programs over the last few years. Then there's Senator Elizabeth Warren, who's already predicting economic catastrophe. She's warning that higher oil prices will ripple through the economy, increasing fertilizer costs, trucking costs, and eventually food prices. Could energy prices fluctuate during a Middle East conflict? Of course. But notice how quickly the conversation jumped from national security to economic fear messaging. That's because Democrats see a political opportunity. They know they can't actually stop the conflict, and they know they don't have the votes to force a change in policy. So what are they doing instead? They're introducing war powers resolutions that have zero chance of passing. 2 of them already failed in the House and Senate last week. Yet Democrats are threatening to keep bringing them up, hoping to jam up the Senate floor with symbolic votes. No, not because they expect to win, but because they want campaign talking points for the midterms. And the political maneuvering doesn't stop there. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is now urging President Trump to release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to lower gas prices. Let's pause there for a moment. This is the same reserve Democrats raided under President Biden, draining it to the lowest level in decades. At the time, Republicans argued those releases were politically motivated attempts to manipulate gas prices due to Sleepy Joe's hyperinflation economic policies. Now Democrats are suddenly demanding the same move again because they think it might blunt rising energy prices during a conflict they're criticizing. So the message from Democrats right now is basically this. They say the administration doesn't have a clear message about the war. They say the military is spending too much money. They say energy prices might go up. And their solution, more political theater in Congress and topping the very oil reserve they depleted in the first place. Look, no one wants war, and every American deserves transparency about our military objectives. But what we're seeing from Democrats right now isn't oversight, it's narrative building. They're trying to frame uncertainty as chaos, they're trying to frame unnecessary military spending as recklessness, and they're trying to turn geopolitical volatility into an economic scare story. Why? Because they're already thinking about the midterms. But here's the reality. When the United States military is engaged in a conflict overseas, the American people expect seriousness, not political panic. And right now, the loudest panic we're hearing isn't coming from the battlefield. It's coming from Washington Democrats trying to score points before the next election. And that's Chris's Corner.
Indeed. Democrat war narrative seems to be the exact opposite, as you pointed out, of what's actually recurring in reality. Look, war is no fun. It's horrible. But what the media is reporting is not reflective of the might and success of the American military up to this point, as Steve Bucci pointed out.
And if they were really on the side of the American people and really supported what the president is doing, they would say, yes, you know, we are having a war in the Middle East. Of course, oil prices are going to go up. But as the energy secretary has said, there is a glut of oil in the world. There's not a shortage of war. It's getting it out to people. That is the problem. The president said this war is going to be 4 to 5 weeks, maybe a little longer. When this conflict does end, Tim, the world will be flooded with oil, and we will once again see those $2.50 or $2.60 gas prices, and I'm sure the Democrats won't say a peep about that.
Yeah, the national media, Chris, has decided that they have relegated the news business to the dustbin of time a long time ago. They're now in the narrative business. All you got to do is compare the storytelling, which is what it is, between the Russia-Ukraine conflict, what has been occurring with Israel and the Gaza Strip, and now this new conflict with Iran. You can see them choose sides. That's not what they should be doing. How about just reporting objectively?
I agree with that 100%. All right, Speaker Stump Speech.
The road to zero, Chris. We took another turn today for the better. I'll report on that when we come back in the Speaker Stump Speech.
And then we'll speak with my dentist, Dr. Allan Link of the Dental Link. We'll talk about the care that he is providing for veterans, and we'll learn a little more about dental implants. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
There's something magical about walking into your backyard and knowing your family is completely safe and secure. Hi, I'm Sean Long, owner of STL Fenceworks. That's the feeling my team and I have been creating for metro area families for more than 50 years. Whether you're adding your first fence or finally creating the outdoor sanctuary you've always wanted, we offer premium vinyl and stunning ornamental options, all designed around your family's specific needs and lifestyle. While other companies struggle with supply delays and rising costs, we've always proudly used all American-made materials, which means better pricing and faster installation for you. Our experienced craftsmen exemplify our motto, your satisfaction is our passion. From Warrenton to Wildwood, your neighbors trust us because we live here too. And we care about your project as much as you do. Right now is the golden time to build with flexible financing options and a commitment to completing your fence on time and on budget. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A man armed with a rifle rammed a vehicle into the largest Reform synagogue in the nation today before being shot to death by security officials.
WDIV-TV reports that a truck crashed into the Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan on Thursday. Footage from the scene shows dozens of police vehicles surrounding the building. FBI Director Kash Patel says agents are on scene of an apparent vehicle ramming and active shooter situation at the synagogue. The Jewish Federation of Detroit has advised all Jewish organizations in the area to follow lockout protocol, no one getting into the building. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office says authorities are clearing the building. Bernie Bennett reporting.
The Senate approved a package of bills aimed at lowering housing costs on Thursday. South Carolina GOP Senator Tim Scott says Congress can boost chances for more people to achieve the American dream of home ownership.
We can do what so many folks failed to do in this legislative body for the last few decades. Not few years, but few decades. That is, pass consequential legislation that makes it easier to become a homeowner for those who are ready for that part of their journey.
But the path forward in the House remains uncertain given conservative opposition to some portions of the bill, despite support from President Trump. Old Dominion University police say a gunman and 1 victim are dead and 2 other victims are hurt after a shooting at that school on Thursday morning. It wasn't immediately clear how the shooter died. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 739 points, the Nasdaq dropped 404, the S&P lower by 103. More on these stories at townhall.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know you can't cook. You're not one of those people who say that they can, but when people come over for dinner, they find out the hard way, you can't. You can't even microwave popcorn, and that's literally just 1 button. Plus, measuring and patience are huge parts of cooking, and that's just not you. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Don't miss cutting-edge coverage of daily news on the Alex Marlowe podcast.
For so many years, we thought we would see terror. Is it a Muslim? Now we're starting to think, is it a trans person? And we indulge all this. It's completely our fault, self-inflicted wound. We run so hard away from the science and towards insanity. They'll never stop. They will never be done. They will always try to take more. They will always try to create more chaos.
Subscribe to the Alex Marlowe podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Strong winds tonight. We stay dry, but it gets windy late tonight and overnight. Some gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour, strongest gusts to the north. And then Friday afternoon, partly cloudy and a high of 60, breezy, but the wind gusts come down a bit. Saturday, mostly cloudy and a high of 64. Nice day. Sunday, not so nice. A chance of storms. Some of those could be strong, especially south of St. Louis. Very windy and a high of 67, but temperatures will crash Sunday night and a Monday as rain changes into snow. Most of that melting on the pavement, but it's not out of the question. There's some minor accumulation into Monday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michaels Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michaels Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Join the Franklin County Republican Central Committee for the 2026 Annual Lincoln Reagan Banquet, Thursday, March 26th at 333 Vineyards in Washington, Missouri. Meet local and statewide elected officials, enjoy a catered dinner, gun raffle, silent auction, and hear from special guest Doug Billings. Help us hold on to the U.S. House and Senate in 2026. Visit fcrcc.org. That's fcrcc.org. Lincoln Reagan Banquet, March 26th at 333 Vineyards.
Craving the best donuts in town? Master Donuts is your destination for everything delicious. From flaky croissants and kolaches to mouth-watering maple bacon rounds and long johns, apple fritters, cinnamon rolls, donut holes, and a wide variety of specialty donuts that'll make your taste buds dance. We've got something for everyone. Stop by one of our 2 area locations or find us on Facebook. Remember, do-nut, go anywhere else. Master Donuts. You'll be glad you did.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management, your financial friend here at News Talk STL, and we are excited for our upcoming episode of the Serenity Wealth Now Show. We're going to spend a little time talking about travel tips. It is spring break. It's time to think about getting out there and enjoying the things that make you happy. We've got Katie Modulin joining us in studio to talk about travel this season. Tune in each and every week, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., News Talk STL, or Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
So I assume the Democrat leader is aware of the fact that we have tried repeatedly to fund everything temporarily to allow the negotiations over the ICE budget to continue.
I am well aware. But that hasn't worked.
He's well aware, Chris, that...
Did Chuck Schumer raise his voice there? Was he a little bit pissed off?
To the ever calm and cool cucumber known as John Thune. South Dakota?
South Dakota, yeah.
South Dakota. The cool cucumber from South Dakota versus the hot-headed guy from New York City. Yeah, he did. He did raise his voice. And Thune's like, you guys are the ones shutting this down. And Schumer's like, yeah, of course we are. Basically in a fit of a rage, admitting what we all know. And I don't think Americans are impressed by this at all. Look, there's a lot of shutdowns where both sides lose or Republicans come out on the short end, but this is very obviously a Democratic shutdown.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations that, look, in the big, beautiful bill, the Department of Homeland Security is funded for at least 2 years with billions and billions of dollars. So the funding that you're cutting off doesn't have anything to do with why you're doing it. You're not cutting off ICE. ICE is still funded for 2 years. You're basically allowing travelers to be stranded in different airports and everything and being delayed because, as we talked about earlier, TSA agents aren't getting paid and they are starting to call in sick.
Yep, they are indeed. And as we pointed out in our earlier segments, TSA, Secret Service, FEMA, Customs and Border Patrol, and the Coast Guard, all essential services and all workers. There's people behind this essential service classification. There's actual people trying to support their families, all working completely without pay. These are very important positions to the functioning of the American government, protecting our borders, search and rescue operations, which I'm very familiar with, the Coast Guard. My uncle is retired Coast Guard commander. FEMA, we're right in the middle of, we're about to enter tornado season.
Yep.
The Secret Service, they protect important people. All of this, and not a single dollar is being withheld from ICE. But that's what the Democrats are trying to insert in this conversation. And I thought, Chris, the Trump administration was very wise in bringing in Tom Homan in Minnesota, convincing Walz and the other leadership there that they needed to work with ICE. Their local police do. They are. They've removed the surge. So all of that story has vanished from the headlines, and Minnesota's calming down. So now all people see is the fact that these essential service workers are not being funded.
Exactly. And the president was on the road this week talking about affordability. And as we said last week, the president is the best salesman for his policies. And that's the best thing for him to do in these midterm elections when it looks tenuous for the Republicans, is to get out and sell the program, sell the war. And as we talked about earlier, the American people are tending to be more favorable towards the war than they were at the beginning. So I think this is going to be a bad situation for the Democrats ultimately. But as we say all the time, Tim, I think more than anything, they are so beholden to their base. The base wants to see fight, fight, fight. And so they're willing to put America in danger, in harm's way, to placate their radical base.
And they have. There have been 4 incidences. You can argue that they're not directly tied to the conflict in the Middle East, but they seem to, at the very least, they seem to be inspired. Here's another story. A leaked intelligence report from the U.S. federal government warns that Iran is plotting retaliation on American soil. So there's a direct connection right there. I think you're exactly right. None of us want this to happen because who knows who's in danger next, but Democrats are putting Americans in danger both here and abroad.
Yeah, I got to admit, I flew to Dallas on Monday, and I felt a little apprehensive.
I bet you did.
With TSA agents not being on the job, with Homeland Security not being fully funded. When it comes to ICE and the Coast Guard and all that, I felt a little apprehensive, but I'm hopeful, I'm glad that these folks are on the job, are patriots first, and realize that their job is to keep Americans safe, and hope that the politicians can get the politics worked out of this so they can get paid.
Indeed. I'm assuming all of the federal air marshals are still out there and working. They're always in plain clothes, so you never know if they're there or not. Hopefully they're still on the job. And also, we Americans, see something, say something.
Yeah.
Especially now. Make sure you're very aware of your surroundings. If you see something weird, report it to a TSA agent or to an officer at the airport or wherever, the bus terminal, the side of the road. If you see something bizarre, they discovered a package today at DCA and had to evacuate the entire airport. See something, say something. We know that the threat level is definitely elevated right now.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see more instances of suspicious packages. Unfortunately, terrorism attacks like we saw in Michigan today.
Yes, police responding to that attack earlier today. What we know right now, the FBI is actually holding a news conference or about to hold a news conference on, this is something else, I think. Oh, my goodness. We have another breaking news story
You're kidding
for us
me.
this afternoon. Yeah, it looks like there has been a shooting at Old Dominion, and I'm not seeing it on I'm seeing it online, but I'm not
Okay.
seeing it on any of the broadcast networks. Let me see here. The headline is there's been a shooting at Old Dominion shooter. Oh, guess what? Old Dominion shooter shouted Aloha Akbar before deadly rampage.
I wonder if there's a connection.
Yeah. And we have the 8 first responders rushed for treatment after an attack at a Michigan synagogue.
And
So-
again, we talk about gun-free zones. What's the first place that you're going to go to? A school or a university where guns aren't allowed, a movie theater. And so these madmen, they know where to commit their carnage. Go to a university.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. A former, we see this all too often, unfortunately, a former Army National Guard soldier convicted of supporting ISIS has been identified as the gunman in a deadly shooting at Old Dominion University on Thursday, reportedly shouting Aloha Akbar before opening fire. We have confirmed reports that prior to him conducting this act of terrorism, he shouted, all are stated Allah Akbar, Special Agent in Charge Dominique Evans said in a Thursday evening press conference. The FBI is investigating the shooting as another act of terrorism. So this is our 5th act of terrorism in less than 10 days in our country.
And that press conference that you were talking about occurred when we were talking to Steve Bucci about in Bloomfield. We was watching it on television above you when that was going on.
Folks, that is a separate incident from what occurred at the Michigan synagogue. So we've had 2 events now on the same day that have elements, definitely elements of connections to alleged terrorism in our country.
And it also gives you pause to think that, you just read that story, and I have it here in my stack about how they intercepted a message from Iran that seemed to be telling sleeper cells across the United States and in other countries to activate themselves. You're wondering if this Old Dominion shooting, you're wondering if this shooting in Michigan, they got the call.
Indeed. So everybody out there, pay attention to this. There is definitely a heightened threat level. See something, say something, have your head on a swivel, be aware of your surroundings, and everybody be careful and Godspeed out there as well. Speaker Stump Speech in a minute. We're going to talk about something that important that happened here on the local level that has national ramifications, the passage of the tax cut bill out of the Missouri House today. And then we're going to speak with Dr. Allan Link. If you're watching on any of the cameras on any of our platforms, you can see him. He's sitting in studio with us. He's dressed in his Irish green.
He's a little early.
Well, he's just a week early, so 5 days early. This is kind of the month of the Irish.
Right, that's
March is the month of the Irish. It's when we all drink Guinness and Killian's and such that and so forth. March Madness upon us. Selection Sunday this Sunday. Joey's High Holy Day of the Academy Awards.
Oh, yeah, that's Sunday.
Is Sunday. And I almost forgot until Joe Rush told me this afternoon, one of our intrepid owners, when I walked in, kind of there's been a bunch of big golf tournaments that have happened, but today is the one they play in Florida, the TPC Jacksonville tournament. That's the one with the island green, the famous island green.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the official launch. It's the TPC, it's the Players Tournament. We've got the Masters coming up just in a few weeks as well. Easter is almost upon us, so spring is about to be sprung here in the heartland.
I would lose a whole lot of golf balls playing that course.
I would too, probably.
Playing that hole.
And I would. And at 5:45, Chris is going to tell us about the 150th anniversary of a certain device.
It is, and I hope it rings a bell with a lot of folks.
Okay, that's what I was going to guess.
Maybe that's a clue.
You gave a great
hope
clue
it rings
there.
a bell.
And that's what I was going to guess. So I was like, I think I saw something about that a few days ago. Hey, without further ado, let's get to the topic and the title of today's Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
It's kind of a repetitive title. Hope you're not getting tired of it. It's How Money Moves. How money moves around America and how money moves, hopefully, here to the great state of Missouri. And the reason I wanted to bring this up again, 2 reasons. 2 things happened this week that I think are absolutely momentous to kind of key in on the great Show Me State. The fact that the governor's #1 priority for this year to continue an aggressive and more speedy phase down of the Missouri state income tax took another huge leap forward, and another very famous, very wealthy American whose products that you might utilize on a daily basis has himself shown how and why money moves. First of all, let me tell you about the latter. This and I know. So, despite how hard the media tries, the national corporate corrupt media tries not to report how money moves. The media never wants to talk about state tax policies. They never want to talk about the fact that states that have zero or no income tax have a flood of people moving in them, and the high tax states of New York and California and Connecticut and New Jersey and Washington State, who's moving away from having no income tax and actually going to put in a regressive income tax. Oregon, they're losing people. The media never wants to tell that story, and so you hardly ever see it reported except on shows like ours. You might catch it on Fox News and Newsmax and OAN. You might see it on some of the online conservative blogs and other conservative radio stations if you're traveling around the country, but you don't see it in the mainstream. Well, you know it's becoming a big story that the media can't suppress anymore when you start seeing it in very nonpartisan publications. I do read a lot of nonpartisan or maybe middle-of-the-road stuff because I want to know what other people are saying. I don't want to just exist in an echo chamber. And an online periodical that I get every single day, it's called Morning Brew. Morning Brew is a neat little newsletter. It's largely non-political, although every once in a while they do touch on some political issues. They approach things from I'd say a fairly centrist viewpoint. They mainly focus on arts and culture, they do a lot of financial news, and they even have a special Morning Brew financial edition. So it's a lot about markets and technology and things of that sort. It's kind of like what's going on in America and the world besides politics. But every once in a while, something, they just, it can't help it. It has a political bent to it. But I think they try to report things. They may be one of the last people that try to report things rather objectively. So today, the Morning Brew, a largely non-political online publication, reported the fact that Howard Schultz of famous Starbucks fame is another multi-bazillionaire who's loading up the U-Haul, leaving the West Coast, and heading for Miami. The West Coast farewell banner, Morning Brew reports, has gotten a ton of use over the last few months. Former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz said yesterday he's retiring to Miami with his wife, joining a number of other billionaires who have recently made Florida their new home state. Schultz reflected warmly on his past 44 years building the popular coffee chain from Seattle, but his cross-country announcement, I mean, look, he could have moved somewhere a lot closer. It's interesting that he chose to go, 2,000 plus miles over to the other side of the country. His announcement on LinkedIn came this is interesting. His announcement on LinkedIn came the same day that the state of Washington's House of Representatives passed a brand new 9.9% tax on household incomes over $1 million. And remember what Grover Norquist always says, first they come for the billionaires and millionaires, then they come for you. The tax is expected to pass the state Senate and be signed by the governor. Meet the new neighbors. Schultz recently purchased a $44 million penthouse in Surfside, Florida. Florida's like, bring it on. An area just a short, highly secure jaunt from the private Indian Creek Island. The island in Florida is home to fellow Seattle resident Jeff Bezos, who moved to Florida recently. It's also got Ivanka Trump and Mark Zuckerberg. Look, Zuckerberg, Schultz, and Bezos are not committed conservatives, but they don't want to waste their money on big government, apparently any more than we simpletons do. Zuckerberg recently ditched California to purchase a mansion in Florida for a record-breaking $170 million. Just those two people alone have brought more than $200 million in real estate purchases to the Sunshine State. Massachusetts deciding to join Washington in the insanity. Taxachusetts, they also passed a millionaire tax, encouraging more people who can move to get the heck out of big blue America. In conjunction with this, the Missouri House today moved forward on a great plan to appropriately and necessarily continue the step-down, phase-down of our income tax rate, which is now at 4.77%. It will only continue its phase-down based on appropriate revenue triggers. It's going to be phased in based on revenue growth. Since Missouri's been cutting its income tax about 11 years ago, our state budget has not had holes blown into it. It has actually doubled. Missouri can do this in an appropriate way. It can keep up with the Joneses here in the Midwest, like Iowa and Nebraska and Oklahoma and Arkansas, who are also cutting their estate income tax. Time for our taxes to all be lower and broader and flatter. Get rid of the exemptions, get rid of the carve-outs, get rid of the silly tax credits for special interests, and let's give all Missourians a tax break that they deserve. Let's not join California, Washington, or Massachusetts. Let's be more like Tennessee and Kentucky and Texas and Florida and bringing people and prosperity to the Show Me State. And that's the Speaker Stump speech for today.
And here's the cherry on top of that Starbucks story. Starbucks is going to keep their world headquarters in Seattle, but they're moving a lot of their operations to Tennessee.
Oh, so Chris, they'll have like a little 5x8
exactly
cubicle shingle somewhere so they can say they've got a place there. But they're going to be moving all their management and upper level folks, and maybe some of the middle management people to the sunnier shores of Florida and the tax-free shores of Tennessee.
And if Starbucks wasn't known as having their start in Tennessee or in Seattle, they would move everything.
I think they move everything
to Tennessee. They just want to keep a presence there for history's sake.
It's a nostalgic connection, right? They don't want to completely give up on their home front. But all you got to do is read the tea leaves and see what's happening with all this income migration. So Missouri trying to keep up with everything going on around it. And that bill now goes to the state Senate. Chris, when we come back, we're going to turn on his microphone.
I'm excited.
And let the good Dr. Allan Link talk to us about everything we need to know about his work in providing dental care for veterans. And I really want to know the answer to this question. What is a dental-friendly diet? We know the sugar thing, but what else should we be doing for good teeth health? And we also talk about heart health. I bet those things are linked as well. Dr. Allan Link will tell us all about that and more when we come back. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Tim Jones on Twitter at Speaker Tim Jones. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Strong winds tonight. We stay dry, but it gets windy late tonight and overnight. Some gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour, strongest gust to the north. And then Friday afternoon, partly cloudy and a high of 60, breezy, but the wind gusts come down a bit. Saturday, mostly cloudy and a high of 64. Nice day. Sunday, not so nice. A chance of storms. Some of those could be strong, especially south of St. Louis. Very windy and a high of 67, but temperatures will crash Sunday night and a Monday as rain changes into snow. Most of that melting on the pavement, but it's not out of the question. There's some minor accumulation into Monday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey, let me give you a real-world example of what I mean when I tell you Royal Banks of Missouri is a local community bank. I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with Mitch Baden, the CEO of Royal Banks of Missouri, at Timothy's Restaurant, which is one of the newest sponsors of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. The owner told Mitch he'd been waiting for weeks for a big out-of-town bank to approve a loan so that he could refurbish the place. Paperwork sent off, committee reviews probably sitting on a desk in New York somewhere. He explained to Mitch, he said, I've got collateral. Here's what it is. It's my own money. And Mitch approved the loan on the spot. Yes, on the spot. No loan committee, no corporate runaround, no waiting on someone who's never set foot in St. Louis. That's the difference with Royal Banks. Decisions are made here by people who know the community and care about local business. If you're tired of just being a number, it might be time to bank where relationships still matter. That's Royal Banks of Missouri. I've been with Royal Banks of Missouri for more than 20 years because relationships still matter to them and to me. 16 locations across St. Louis, St. Charles, Illinois, and Northeast Missouri, locally owned, independently run, invested right here. Learn more at royalbanksofmo.com, royalbanksofmo.com, Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at newstalkstl.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddie's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community, Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stiefel. Contact your Stiefel financial advisor at stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Page talked about the possibility of the city re-entering the county as a municipality. Page also saying that further consolidation could bring more efficiencies in areas like policing, street maintenance, and public health.
Now is the time to talk about this. How we do it, when we do it, we'll get there. But we got to be having this conversation now because we can't we can't cut our way out of this. We can't cut the services that people in St. Louis County need. We either need to find new revenue or we need to find a more efficient way to deliver these services.
Yeah, spoken like a true liberal. I don't think anybody cares what Sam Page thinks about much of anything these days. I think Democrats and Republicans are just ready for him to leave office.
Yeah, my whole political sense went up on that because why would he even
What's
care?
He doing?
He's out of office. What this tells me politically is one of these candidates, either Brian Williams or Zimmerman, are not in support of a city-county merger, and he's trying to put one of them on the spot, if I had to guess.
Or he's got a job lined up at some think tank where he's going to be pushing this when he's out of office.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, look, I mean, the concept of having a unified region sounds great, and a lot of other regions around the country have done it. But right now, with what we have at this point in time, nobody's interested in that, mainly because the city of St. Louis would really need to get its act together before anybody wants to do anything with it, much less merging services or anything else.
Exactly.
You know, it was probably a good idea 30 years ago, and you know, I if they can merge some services like they've done in New York City, right? You know, they have one fire department, they have one police department. That's great. But I don't think the county residents want anything to do with the city's problems right now.
What if Dr. Lincoln put a office in the city?
Yeah, I don't know. We can ask him. We're not gonna drag him into that political discussion, but we're gonna ask him a lot of other hard questions. He's with us here in studio once again. Dr. Link, welcome back to the program. Great to have you here today.
I appreciate that a lot.
What do you think about this crazy train you've been watching the last 45 minutes?
This is very interesting.
Joey, you hear that? We're interesting. We're interesting. Yeah.
So I got to start off today.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you came into the office today because, one, it worked out great, and two, I got to thank God that I still get to do what I do and have so much fun doing it still.
And you do it very, very well. You've been my dentist for the past 3 or 4 years, and I had a little work done today. You want to tell the folks what you did for me?
We did a full mouth rehab on you, man.
You did. I've got TV teeth.
What was it? Upper and lower?
Yes.
18 crowns?
We spent 5 hours today.
Yeah, we did. And that was just putting them on.
Wow. And then you had to get the turtle wax out and shine them up.
Exactly.
Well, and I can vouch as a professional that he does not have a large mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does not have a large mouth.
Which I thought I did, but I've got a small mouth for a dentist.
I do.
That's
well.
right.
Somehow Chris and I have a lot of hot air. I don't know. So that's very true. Dr. Link, you said during the break that you don't feel anywhere near your age, which is wonderful. And that's a very important thing, right? No matter how old we are, we can always feel younger, right? And I would imagine that good dental health and a good diet is a huge part of how you feel no matter what age you are.
Oh, there's just no question. All the data keeps saying diet. As far as dental goes, everybody knows sugars. You know, the formula for decay, real simple, is sugars, bacteria, and acids. It's the acids part that gets most of the kids.
Oh, okay. What's the acidic stuff we shouldn't be?
Well,
imbibing?
very surprising. I believe the Missouri Dental Board does put out a list, but soda's the worst, especially the sodas that aren't diet, because they're loaded with sugar. A lot of your energy drinks. Energy drinks are terrible. High sugar, high acidity. Surprisingly, some of the waters that are out there, some of the bottled waters are pretty acidic. And I won't mention the brands.
Do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research. But they're out there as acidic. You know, some of these, if you leave a drop or two of it on your car paint, it'll bleach it out.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So do you really want that? And then people are sitting at computers so much, especially the kids with social media now, or people at work, and they're just sipping away. I see a ton of work coming from the coffee that they're drinking, and again, putting the sugar in. But and then you talk about, you know, your creamers, what they do to your arteries, all those things. That's why we keep staying so busy, is because of the acidity in so many things. And that can't be good. I'm a big proponent of talking down a lot of energy drinks, even like your Gatorade and Powerades, because these kids are using it more like water.
Yeah.
You know, and they're drinking so much of it. And I'm not the medical doctor, but that can't be good for your system and what it does to your blood sugar and stuff.
Okay.
It's got to throw a wrench in everything. And, you know, that's where we have to start. I mean, Kennedy's right. We've got to start with our diet, and we'd be a whole lot healthier. Maybe somewhere when they start looking at Obamacare and all the different medical plans that are out there, we can get some real incentives to staying healthy instead of just, you know, that's just too bad and let's lower the copays and everything else. It just gives the wrong incentive to be unhealthy.
Dr. Ling, one of the things that I love coming to the office is the folks that work for you. You guys are like one big family. It's not like you're their boss and they have to be all deferential to you. It's almost kind of like a family atmosphere. The people there aren't like, oh, yeah, I got to come to my job. They really enjoy working for you. How do you foster that type of relationship, and how long have you had some of these folks working for you? Because it seems like they've been working for you a long time.
Well, two of my hygienists have been with me over 35
really?
years.
Wow.
So that's that. But I'm an old man, so that'll happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happens. I honestly think, and thank God I have my son with me, it's our personalities.
Yeah.
I think any dental office, medical offices also, they're going to mirror the person that runs it.
Right.
And that's true of companies when they first start off, too. I know if I had patients come in and they're not sure that I'm there at the office because they didn't hear me laugh.
All right, yes.
I mean,
you do have a laugh. You can tell when you're
lot.
there.
I just laugh a lot, and I love it. And yesterday we had a patient that, a denture patient, and denture patients, especially if they wait way too long, like maybe wear their denture 35 years, it's real hard to get used to the new one. So I feel very sympathetic. This lady called up. Drew had delivered the denture the day before, and she was unhappy. I said, let's see her at 1. Well, she blew up at the poor girl at the front.
Right. I remember he was talking about that.
And I'm going, oh. So I go up there and I say, you know, call her back and I'll get on the phone. You shouldn't have to do this. You know, the very first thing I'm going to say is, you know, don't talk to my team that way. We're here to help you, but you can't talk to people that way. I mean, she was in tears. Anyway, long story short, we're going to see her next week because she didn't want to come in at the time that we had. But that girl ended up calling a bunch of team members last night saying how much that meant to her because she was raised where she had no support. It was a broken family and an abusive husband and things. And I'm going, you know, honestly, that brought tears into my eyes. And that's, I guess that's the way it's fostered.
Sure.
Because when you support your team, they all have the authority to fire a patient. If they see somebody on the schedule that they just can't take, and I have no idea, maybe the guy came on to them or, you know, or just rubbed them the wrong way. I don't want them to feel that they have to dread somebody on the schedule. So it's things like that that foster that. And I'm very, very blessed that the team that I have are just terrific, incredible people to work with. And we're so proud of Richa because she got accepted to dental school.
Ah, fantastic.
So, yeah, we're going to lose her, which saddens me, but, I'm really happy for her because, and that's the way Haley, she started off as a dental assistant. We helped support her go through hygiene school, by giving her work when she could and then a job when she's out, so I think all that comes back and, you do something good to people and it comes back for you.
I agree.
But,
good
the
office.
patients we work with, like you, everybody loves you. I don't know why.
Right, I don't either.
But anyway, we have a lot of fun and there's a lot of dancing behind those chairs. So
you can just tell it's just a great atmosphere when you go in there. And, sometimes you're a little apprehensive because you're going to get some drilling and maybe some potential pain. And it's nice to come into a relaxed atmosphere where the folks actually enjoy coming to work and
honestly,
enjoy their job.
If somebody really wants to come, I might be a little bit afraid of them.
I hear you.
Dr. Link, by the way, folks, speaking of Dr. Allan Link, thedentallink.com, thedentallink.com. Dr. Link, I've been told that one of the reasons it is so important to have periodic dental checkups and your eyes, things like your eyes and your teeth and your mouth, they're the windows to the rest of your health system. And is that true? And that, your mouth and your gum health can tell a practitioner like yourself a lot about someone's overall health, and there can be some warning signs. Or on the other hand, if everything's fine and dandy, then maybe the rest of the body's functioning well. How does that all interplay?
Tim, you just described a poster that's in the
It's in our
restroom.
office.
That's a poster that's in the resident office.
There is. Actually, one of my old classmates from Wash U is head of that national organization.
Oh, okay.
A big, gigantic connection between
I stumbled into that.
Systemic, our general health and the oral cavity.
Okay.
So the Cleveland Heart Clinic has always come out with position papers every year. The one that came out 2 years ago says they would say, okay, dental disease, mainly periodontal gum disease, is associated with, and then they give a list of things, right? Now they're saying it's causative to heart attacks, to strokes, pancreatic cancer.
That one surprised me.
That surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
It's above my pay grade to understand that one. Low birth weight babies, and strongly associated, if not causative, to adult onset diabetes.
Holy smokes!
And a lot of connection with dementia. But dementia's real hard to do in place. They did studies. You can only truly, the way I understand it, and I might be wrong, diagnose true dementia is in an autopsy. So they did, on some people, later stage, real late stage dementia, they'd put markers in the gums that then would show up parts of the brain on the autopsy.
Oh, wild.
That were affected by dementia. So there's a lot of fuzziness there, but there's definitely a gigantic connection there.
Well, you just gave us about 7 more reasons to go to the dentist.
Oh, man. Yeah, and there are more than that probably that Dan Sindelar can talk about. But, it's so important. I had my dental hygienist and the whole team read Heart Attack Gene, which is a great book, and it's written for the layman. And 1 or 2 chapters really stress how medicine's starting to recognize that, and they'd have healthy 35-year-old females. Why did they get heart attacks? They had gum disease. So, and they didn't have clogged arteries. That's a really weird thing. It's a chronic inflammation that causes a bleeding in the layer of the arteries called the intima, and anytime you have bleeding, you can have clots. So you don't necessarily have to have you always say, he had bypass because he had 80-90% clogged artery. You don't have to have that to have a heart attack. You can throw those clots and get into trouble, like a stroke or whatever. So that's a lot of research now, again, above my pay grade. But when our hygienist read that, like the 2 ones that have worked over 30 years, it kind of brought tears to their eyes because they said, oh, my gosh, I kind of let people go too long with this disease process because I thought it was only teeth.
Interesting.
And I thought that, I'm not going to push this person. Well, I've had a lot of people where we ended up putting them in full dentures, that they went off their insulin. They were uncontrolled diabetics because of the gum disease. Because there's a definite link there. So you were right, sir.
No, very interesting.
Does your wife ever say that?
No. Once a year, yeah.
Can you stick around? Because I want to talk about your specialty. You do all kind of dental work, but many dental implants. You really made a name for yourself in that. I want to talk about that, and I have many dental implants, so we want to get folks to learn more about that. So you can stick around for the next segment?
I will.
All right.
We will
Excellent.
wrap things up with Dr. Allan Link of the Dental Link, and Chris is going to tell us what is the device that we're celebrating the 150th anniversary
Hopefully it
of.
rang a bell.
Hopefully it does indeed. TheDentalLink.com will continue and wrap up our conversation with Dr. Allan Link before we hand you off to Larry Connors USA when we return on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Strong winds tonight. We stay dry, but it gets windy late tonight and overnight. Some gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour, strongest gusts to the north. And then Friday afternoon, partly cloudy and a high of 60, breezy, but the wind gusts come down a bit. Saturday, mostly cloudy and a high of 64. Nice day. Sunday, not so nice. A chance of storms. Some of those could be strong, especially south of St. Louis. Very windy and a high of 67, but temperatures will crash Sunday night and a Monday as rain changes into snow. Most of that melting on the pavement, but it's not out of the question. There's some minor accumulation into Monday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, folks, it's Jamie Allman here for the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. I love this team so much, and Rodney and Jen love the team so much, I became a member. So now I'm an agent with the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, and I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that we're going to get you into a home really super easily and with the lowest cost you're ever going to find, and make sure we find you that dream home. We're also going to list your home and get the top dollar for your home. I'm telling you, Rodney and Jen love this business. You can tell it is infectious, and I'm so happy to be a real estate agent there with them. 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD. Whether you are buying your home or selling your home, I'm telling you what, the costs are going to be absolutely totally minimal, but the professionalism and getting the job done for you is going to be 100%. The Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitandtackle.net.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers. Sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
As Americans right now is the fact that we can't trust a single damn decision that's made because it's too tilted to one side of the aisle over the other.
See, if you have bipartisanship and you had an abundance of Democrats voting with the Republicans and a bunch of Republicans voting with the Democrats, we could at least say we're unified as a government, as a nation, and we're comfortable with whatever decision they make because we know that whether we agree or disagree, they're making decisions that are in the best interest of America as opposed to their party.
547 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And, of course, that is ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith ruled out a White House bid. He had been talking about possibly running for president. He says he is not going to do that. But he did say he would back Rubio over some top Democrats. So Stephen A. is, he kind of flirts with being a Republican and flirts out of it. Also want to say that Tuesday, was the 150th anniversary of the telephone.
Ah, yes.
That was, I gave the clue away, I think, a little bit about ringing the bell. So that is the two items I wanted to get to. Now I want to get back to Dr. Allan Link. Doctor, we talk about, when I do the live reads for you, talk about the mini dental implants. I am a mini dental implant patient. You are probably the premier expert on that in the St. Louis area. Tell us how these are different from regular dental implants, and how did you become the master?
I don't know if I'm the master, but I like them because they can be done more economically, so it's easier in the pocketbook. Many times you can place them, and I can get a patient, and this is the most satisfying. A patient comes in, they can't wear their denture, there's no ridge left, and I can place those minis many times the same day, drill out the denture and put the snaps in the denture, and it snaps on, then they will wear it home.
Been there.
Incredibly, so that truly is one day because there's no need for planning. You just come in, and we can do it. Now, normally, people are going to want an estimate, and they're going to go home, but an estimate for something like that is less than $7,000, and it makes a change in their life every day. So that's what I like about minis. We can place them without doing a heavy-duty bone augmentation, without doing a bunch of fancy stuff. They just get placed. And now there's some research coming out. It says, our traditional implants are you place the implant that mimics the root, and then you put an abutment on that, which mimics the prepped tooth for a crown, and then the crown over that.
Okay.
So you have connections. Connections can sometimes harbor bacteria. So they're really looking at those, and that's one thing on the research. And a mini doesn't have that. It's all one piece. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes down to play, but it's mostly the ease of placement and more financially doable for most.
Because you blew my mind over the break when you said, when we see these commercials for Clear Choice, that's $37,000?
Whoa!
That's what I was told.
Wow.
And that's per arch.
Wow.
Now, my big thing about a lot of dentistry done on implants is that I like a patient to be able to clean around it. So certain types, the 4 and all, those are screwed down. You're not going to take them out. We have to take them out in the office. That's an expensive visit. Now, I do know that some places, Clear Choice might be one, they're good, honorable people, they might do that for free. But that means you don't get to go to your dentist.
Right.
So you've got to go to that office. Because that can be as much as a $400 cleaning.
Right.
So you're not going to, how often are you going to do that?
Sure.
Not often enough. So I always like ones that can be either removed by the patient or easily removed by us, and not have to be drill down to the screw that unscrews, and then have to replace those gold screws for $189 a piece.
Right.
So,
Dr. Link, you do a lot of magnanimous work, and one of the things you do is do a lot of work for veterans.
Yes.
We kind of wear our love for veterans on our sleeve here. We're surrounded by the stars and stripes, which is fantastic. And we have the Freedom 13 flag here honoring those at Abbey Gate. Jared Schmitz's father, Mark Schmitz, big friend of the station. You do a ton of work for veterans. Talk about why you do that and why it's important for you to devote a big chunk of your practice to that.
One, I never served, and I kind of felt bad about that. I grew up, my dad and mom were in their 40s when I was born. So I grew up in that World War II, with parents, World War II generation. I grew up with even one or two of them that were priests. The one guy was in Rome, and he spoke at one of the rallies against Mussolini, and he was locked in the Vatican.
Wow, wow.
He couldn't get out.
Wow.
And the State Department got him out right before Pearl Harbor. So my family served. Many of them, or one in particular, an uncle that lived with us my entire career growing up. He went over there at 30 years old in 1941, and he was put behind enemy lines. He was shot 3 separate times.
Oh, my God.
Not 3 bullet holes, but 3 separate occasions.
Wow.
And they just kept putting him back together. He was one of those guys that they flew behind enemy lines on D-Day.
Good grief.
In the Alps and blah, blah, blah. So
amazing.
That's where it comes to me.
Mm-hmm.
Those were really good people, unbelievable people. They truly were the greatest generation. And dental falls through the cracks for these veterans.
Okay.
It really does. It's totally underserved. And when it's served, I don't know if I agree with some of the ways it's served, because some of these, they get sent to specialists and stuff that then just ups the cost and the availability. And so there's a need. And that's something that I can do and not have to go to dangerous countries. Like when I was going to El Salvador, I was brought in the back of a pickup truck with armed guards. I said, why do all the medical doctors get to go over there and your one dentist is here with all these guys with guns? And they said, that's because the word out on the street is that they've got enough medical doctors, but they need a dentist.
Oh, so you were a high-priced commodity.
Yeah, that's probably the only time I was really wanted. So.
Dr. Link, a lot of our sponsors on the show and on the station are conservatives, and you and I, we talk politics, and you are conservative and are not ashamed of that. You told me a story today about how you were supporting a initiative for Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, and the patient didn't particularly care for that. And your view on that?
One, it hurt personally because I felt an attachment to this person. He was a retired minister, and what we did when we had our Veterans Day, I bought a bunch of whitening kits, and I said, okay, let's cover the cost, but so that people don't just take these home and sell them on the internet.
Right.
So $25, do that. That was my cost. And we'll give it all the proceeds straight away, even the $25 to the Charlie Kirk's Foundation. And he saw the sign. That's all it was a sign. It's not a gigantic sign. And wrote me 2 long emails where he's divorcing him from the practice, himself from the practice, he and his wife. And it hurt. Did we take the sign down? No.
Good for you.
And before time's up, I'm going to read something.
Go for it.
This is why.
Okay.
Okay. And then you got to guess who said this. Laws alone cannot secure freedom of expression. In order that every man may present his views without penalty, there must be a spirit of tolerance in the entire population. Right around 1933, Jewish immigrant, very famous man. Who do you think it was?
I have no idea.
I'll give you a hint. Distinguished professor of Princeton, too,
Tim?
I don't know.
It's Albert Einstein.
Einstein.
Okay.
He's attributed
Einstein
for that
said that.
saying.
Wow.
At least attributed to.
Okay, attributed to.
So, and that's in my office, my private office, and that's always taken to heart. And honestly, I wanted to make sure that I said that because that's what you guys do.
Well, thank you.
No, that is what you guys do. You promote tolerance and not hatred. You promote discussion about things that aren't discussed elsewhere. And that's what maybe, if somebody commented to me about my sign other than the way this gentleman did, like I have people who retired Post-Dispatch people. I know where they're coming from politically,
right?
My wife calls it post-disgrace, but
we do too.
I think there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more tolerance on the right than the left these days. Because if I saw a sign like that, okay, I might make fun of it. I might make a comment about it. It wouldn't prevent me. It wouldn't cause me to lose a friendship over it or a relationship over it. It just wouldn't.
No, and that's what hurts.
Like, okay, that's your opinion. God bless America.
Yeah, and that's what hurts because we don't push it.
Right.
So.
Before we get out of here, talking about the office, where exactly is the physical location of the Dental Link? How can folks get there?
It's on Manchester Road, right between Henry and 141. right there where it's the Boardwalk Shopping Plaza, right where the Goodwill is.
That's
and
good.
we're welcoming new patients because I want to grow it for my son.
All right, yes, and your son Andrew is works in the office with you, Dr.
He
Links.
runs the office.
He runs
now.
the office. There you go. You take a couple of days off and go golfing now.
I don't know about that. But.
We were speaking with Dr. Allan Link of the Dental Link, dentallink.com. Behind the story, Larry Connors USA, the mass suicide at Jonestown. I remember that. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great evening.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ.